Guys, good evening po. This is Joseph, a licensed teacher by profession and a student nurse as well. And this is my notes about anatomy and physiology. And back in the days, last year, around June, last week, I guess, that was 2025 by the way. Ganito siya, nagla-live na ako ng AnaPhy because of the encouragement and some challenges rin from the RNs na, uy Joseph, studyhin mong AnaPhy because this is the foundation. This is the foundation kasi pag hindi mo alam ang AnaPhy, mahirapan ka in your second year, third year, fourth year. Sabi daw nila na ang AnaPhy daw is foundation mo. Yes, which is really totoo. And yeah, ganito siya, nagla-live ako sa TikTok. Nagsa-study ako ng AnaPhy. May notes ako. May naka-open ako na book ng series 11th edition kasi yung nga wala pa akong latest edition. So ayun. A quick fast forward, nakilala ko itong isang taong to na who turned out to be one of my good friends. Kasi nga he is one of my first guests here sa live, and ang bait-bait niya, and he is knowledgeable talaga in anatomy and physiology. That's why tinulungan niya ako, interact siya sa akin sa comment section, which is which and which is not, and he helps me na mag study ng AnaPhy. And he also is one of my motivations to study AnaPhy more. And he is Nathaniel, or more already known as Nazuki. If you happen to know him, he is one of the TikTokers here. Na nagko-content about nursing. He is one of my good friends, by the way. And he is super bait and super kwela rin at the same time. Kasali, simula na nag-comment siya sa live ko, hanggang sa nag-guest na siya, kinokorek niya yung mga mali ko when it comes to anatomy and physiology. Kasi nga, I am still a first year that time, and which is ngayon rin, on the day of the filming, first year pa rin ako, Yung shall we say, yung hindi pa talaga officially na first year. Kasi nga wala pang klase that time. August ang klase namin last year. Nag-start. So, nag-advance ako ng study ng AnaPhy because I was bored. And gusto ko malibang ang sarili ko. So, study is my way of doing it. Fighting my boredom. So, ayun. Nagla-live na ako start ng AnaPhy, which gained me a lot of following. And, syempre, sabi daw nila, habang nagsa-study ako ng AnaPhy, nare-relieve lang daw nila, na-remember na nila, which is heartwarming sa akin kasi nga parang we both learn rin, the viewers and I. Kasi nga for example, nag-von Willebrand's disease ako, or shall we say basic blood flow ng heart. Ako. Yung parang it's a mutual exchange, mutual conversation na kumbaga you learn from me, I learn from you, and at the same time mas parang I learn from you, viewers, kaysa sa viewers learn from me. Kasi nga, first year pa ako eh. That's why, ayun, that birthed my interest in AnaPhy. And, not, if you're seeing this video, thank you. And, you're my brother for life. And thank you for always teaching me AnaPhy. Even though I am a bit stubborn sometimes. Char lang, hindi naman ako stubborn. Medyo mahirap lang i-grasp sa akin kasi nga due to my age. I'm turning 28 by the way. And medyo mahirap na sa akin na mag-memorize kasi nga maliit rin ng attention span ko. Ang lakas ng short-term memory ko, guys, but I really try my best to understand AnaPhy because sabi ko nga sa inyo, favorite subject ko to eh. So ayun. Without further ado, Yeah, so yeah, here's my AnaPhy Anthology Part 1, which is made by yours truly. And ang reference ko nito guys, I will put this in the comment section. Pero usually Series. Series is the most accessible book sa akin. So yeah, your anatomy and physiology are two separate things na inseparable siya. Oo, hindi siya mahiwa-hiwalay. Pero, even though there are two separate disciplines, may isa talaga siyang common dito. It's integral in studying. It's integral in studying nursing. It's integral and important, kumbaga, in the study of the human body. And it studies everything sa ating human body, from the processes to the abnormalities and stuff. And yeah, ganun yun siya. So anatomy, it comes from an ancient Greek word, I cannot pronounce this, which means dissection. It's a discipline or study about the body's internal and external structures, and it's a branch of natural science that deals with the structural organization of living organisms. For a long history of anatomy, it came from 1600 BC from the Egyptians. Opo, ang mga Egyptians daw. From antiquity ito guys, until the modern. Okay. So yeah, yung Egyptians, process of mummification allowed embalmers to gain rudimentary knowledge of internal organs. For example, your heart, your liver, your kidneys. And ang Edwin Smith Surgical Papyrus, that is one of the oldest surgical treatises, and it shows that the heart, spleen, kidneys, hypothalamus, uterus, bladder were recognized. And they identified that blood vessels originate from the heart. And Egyptians had known little knowledge about the function of kidneys and your brain, and they made the heart the meeting point of a number of vessels which carried all fluids of the body, which daw, sabi nila, your blood, your tears, your urine, and your semen, nanggaling daw sa heart. Or yung meeting point. Meet up. Oo. And they didn't have a theory as to where saliva and sweat came from. Yun sa Egyptians. Moving to the ancient Greece from 500 to 323 before Christ era. Correct me guys if my pronunciation is wrong about the names. So Alcmaeon of Croton was credited with the first animal dissections and possibly identified optic nerves and eustachian tubes na nasa ears natin. Empedocles, which viewed blood as innate heat and argued that the blood vessel was a chief organ of the body daw and was the source of pneuma, which is her breath, and the soul, which is distributed by the blood vessels. Si Aristotle, na nasa math, na nasa physics, correct me if nasa physics siya. Basta nasa math, alam ko nasa math tong taong to, was the founder daw of comparative anatomy. And si Praxagoras may have been the first to differentiate arteries and veins. Arteries guys, arteries. They carry oxygenated blood away from the heart, with the exception of your pulmonary artery, which carries the oxygenated blood from your left ventricle. And yung vein natin, di ba? Your vein carries the oxygenated blood from the organs of your body to your heart, with the exception of your pulmonary vein, which travels oxygenated blood from your lungs to your left ventricle. Oo, yun siya. So yeah, si Praxagoras, he was the first daw to differentiate arteries and veins, and his hypothesis that arteries daw carry air daw and veins carry blood was incorrect. And coming from the 300 to 250 before Christ era, the Alexandrian school that was the first center for human dissection, si Herophilus guys, which is who is the father of anatomy, and with Erasistratus performed the first documented live scientific human dissections on condemned criminals and identified the nervous system's distinction between motor and sensory nerves. In the 2nd century, Christ era to 15th century, which is the Galenic era, Si Claudius Galen was a Greek physician who was considered to be one of the most accomplished of all medical researchers of antiquity. He performed hundreds of dissections on animals. Animals, guys. Okay? Like your pigs, your apes, your dogs, and your oxen. And Galen was able to study all kinds of wounds without performing any human dissection. How come? And of the abdominal cavity. And yung Galen system, may gawa siya, became the undisputed medical dogma for 1300 years, which created errors, guys. And around 300 was corrected by Vesalius. Bakit daw may mga errors siya, guys? Kasi nga, hindi siya sa humans nag-dissect, guys, sa animals. Okay? Yung circulatory system daw was entirely open-ended. Sabi niya eh. Kwento niya yan eh. Sige. Yeah. Kidding aside, yung men daw, as per Galen, had one fewer pair of ribs than women. Kasi nga, mali-mali ang mga observations niya. Kasi, it may be tama sa mga animals, pero sa humans hindi. Sure ka? Sure ka? Women na, or shall we say yung men, one fewer pair. So, kung women is 12, 11 sa men, hindi. Pareha lang yan na 12 regardless of gender. Okay? The liver daw is 5-lobed. Asan siya nakatingin? Siguro sa dogs, oo. Or sa other animals, pwede na 5 lobes ang liver nila. Pero sa humans, 4 yan, guys. 4 yan. Okay? And there were invisible pores in the septum that allows blood to seep through. Pag sure diha, Galen. Pag sure na lang die. Oo. Yeah. Yung septum natin, that's a hard parang siyang hard wall that separates the ventricles. Oo, sa ating heart. Walang makakalusot, guys, na even a particle of blood. The jaw has 2 bones. Are you sure, Galen? Huh? Are you sure, Vela? Oo, 1 bone lang yan, guys. And yung sternum natin, 7 segments. It may be sa dogs or cats. Pwede 7 segments, pero sa ating humans, 3 lang yan. Oo, 3 lang yan. Yung manubrium, that's the top part ng ating sternum. Yung sternum mismo. And yung xiphoid process. Xiphoid process. Okay. Pasensya sa handwriting. So, 3 lang sa humans, guys. Hindi 7. Okay? Hindi 7. Okay? In the 8th to 13th centuries, it was the Islamic Golden Age for my Muslim brothers and sisters. Correct me po if I'm wrong with pronouncing these names. Abu Bakr al-Razi had contributions in medicine, and he was considered the father of psychology and psychotherapy. He contributed in smallpox and measles, meningitis, pharmacy, and in pediatrics. And Ibn al-Nafis, correct me po if I pronounce it wrong, he was known, or it was known, for being the first to describe the pulmonary circulation of the blood. And in 15th to 16th centuries, that's the Renaissance Revolution, si Leonardo da Vinci, di ba, alam natin yan, he was one of the greatest painters, the best painters in history. He conducted 30 and above secret human dissections, and his sketches were the first to provide detailed multi-perspective views of the skeletal and muscular systems, including the first accurate depictions of the human spine and fetus in the womb. And si Andreas Vesalius, he is known as the father of modern anatomy, and he published a treatise called the Humani Corporis Fabrica Libriceptum, or on the fabric of the human body, in 7 books. He also performed the dissection himself while lecturing, and he proved that Galen's observations were based on animals and not humans. Hindi naman siya mali, guys, yung kay Galen. It's just that mali siya ng dinisect. Kung humans ang study natin, di humans. Oo. Pero sa kanya, siguro, trial and error. I don't know with Galen. Hindi naman ako nabuhay sa era niya. Sa animals muna siya. Siguro kasi bawal mag-dissect na humans dati. There was a law or what? Correct me if I'm wrong pa rin. But that was the case. So for the 17th to 18th centuries, that's the age of enlightenment and discovery. Si William Harvey, in his work an anatomical exercise on the motion of the heart and blood in living things, he proved that the systemic circulation of blood and ended the Galenic theory that blood was consumed by the body. And the invention of the microscope allowed Marcello Malpighi, correct me if my pronunciation is wrong, to discover capillaries in 1861, and the Anatomy Act of 1832 in Britain, the demand for cadavers led to body snatching, and these acts legalized the use of unclaimed bodies for medical schools and ends the era of illegal procurement. And si Max Brodel in the late 19th century defined medical illustration at Johns Hopkins Hospital. And today, anatomy is studied through Gray's Anatomy, not the series, it's a book. The cross-sectional imaging like your CT and your MRI and your 3D digital reconstructions. Your levels of anatomy. Your developmental anatomy that studies the structural changes that occur between conception and adulthood. Ang embryology, that's the subspecialty of developmental anatomy and considers changes from conception to the end of the 8th week of development. Cytology, from the word cyto, cells. Histology, histo, tissues. Okay? Gross anatomy, it's a study of structures that can be examined without the aid of a microscope and can be approached either systematically or regionally. Surface anatomy, another term, superficial or visual anatomy. It's the study of external body features and landmarks that correspond to deeper structures without using dissection. Anatomical imaging, it focuses on visualizing the body's physical structure, providing detailed insights onto organ morphology, tissues, and abnormalities. There are a lot of things around anatomical imaging. Itong 6 na ito na nasa baba. X-ray, that's an extremely shortwave electromagnetic radiation that moves through the body, exposing a photographic plate to form a radiograph that creates a flat, two-dimensional image. For ultrasound, it uses high-frequency sound waves which strike internal organs and bounce back to the receiver on the skin. And yung ultrasound, alam natin to sa pregnancy to evaluate the condition of the fetus. Computerized tomographic scans, those are computer-analyzed X-ray images, okay? Digital subtraction angiography, that's when a radiopaque dye is injected into the blood that allows enhanced differences with compared to a non-injected scan. Magnetic resonance imaging that directs radio waves at a person lying inside a large electromagnetic field. And that's more effective at detecting some forms of cancer than a CT scan. Your position emission tomography, which identifies metabolic states of your tissues. Yes. Dito muna tayo sa physiology. Kung anatomy is labeling, physiology is the function. It's a scientific investigation of the processes and functions of living things. Other physiology, may dalawa. Cell and systemic physiology. Yung cell physiology that examines the processes occurring in cells. Systemic physiology that considers the functions of organ systems. And may dalawang types tayo ng systemic physiology. Cardiovascular physiology that focuses on your heart and your blood vessels, and your neurophysiology that focuses on the function of the nervous system. Pathology, that's a medical science dealing with all aspects of disease. It emphasizes causes and development and the structural and functional changes resulting from that disease. Exercise physiology that focuses on changes in function and structure caused by exercise. For a while. So yeah. For the structural and functional organization, in order to guys, from the smallest to the largest. Okay? So for the very first, ang very first dito is the chemicals. Chemical level. Okay? Ang chemical level, guys, that composes of your atoms. Diba? Atoms combine to form molecules. Okay. Atoms interact and combine to form molecules. So, ayun. Yup. Kasi nga, important ang chemical level because a molecule structure determines its function. For example, collagen molecules are strong, rope-like protein fibers that give skin structural strength. and flexibility. Okay? For your cells are your basic unit of life, or in medical terminology, cells are the basic structural and functional units of all living organisms. So under cells are organelles. Organelles are specialized structures that are inside cells which perform a particular function. For example, your nucleus that commands everything, the command center, the CPU. Your mitochondria is assigned for the energy production. Your ribosomes synthesizes proteins. Ganun yun siya. And whatever. Yun yun siya. Okay? So, your tissue level. Okay, your tissue level. So, your tissues. Where group of cells combine. Okay? A tissue is composed of a group of similar cells and the materials surrounding them. May apat na types of tissues. Apat po. Okay, apat. First is your epithelial. The second would be your connective. The third would be the muscle. And your fourth one is your nervous. Okay? Your organ level, it's, different tissues combine to form it. And an organ is composed of two or more tissue types that perform one or more common functions. For example, your heart, your stomach, your bladder, your lungs, your spleen, whatever that thing is. Okay? Your organ system level, that's a group of organs performing a common set of functions. Like your integumentary system, your skin, your hair, your nails, your sebaceous glands, your sweat glands. Yun siya. And your organism level, as a whole siya. Okay? It's a human organism is composed of trillions and trillions of cells. Okay? Toko. So, your characteristics of life. Organization, like this one, from the chemical up until the organism level, that's one best example. Okay? Metabolism, that's a sum of all chemical reactions that occur within an organism to maintain life. Two parts, anabolism, which builds complex molecules from simpler ones, and your catabolism, that breaks down molecules to release energy. The third one is your responsiveness, that's the ability of an organism to sense and react to changes in internal or external environment. Okay? The growth, that's a quantitative one. Because bakit quantitative, guys? It's associated with the physical increase in size and number. Okay? Development, that's the orderly programmed sequence of changes an organism undergoes throughout its life cycle. It's qualitative. Okay? And under development is differentiation, which is a process by which unspecialized cells become specialized in structure and function. Ganito siya. For example, yung hematopoiesis natin, di ba yung pluripotent stem cells natin, di ba, they evolve hanggang sa magiging red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, mast cells, dendritic cells. Ganun yan siya. Pero iba-iba ng function yung si red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, mast cells, and dendritic cells. Iba yun siya. Si T cells and B cells, iba rin siya na function. Okay? And yung reproduction, guys, this is a process by which organisms provide or produce offspring to ensure continuation or continuity of the species. Okay? So there are 11 organ systems, guys. 11, guys. Some say. Okay, whatever. Oh, some say. Okay, some say. Oh, yes. Baka ma-mock ako. Oh, okay. Basta, 12 daw, sabi ng iba. Ang pang 12 daw is immune system. Pero ang immune system, under man siya sa lymphatic system. Bakit? Why? Char lang. So your organ system, just a quick heads up. First one would be your integumentary system that provides protection, regulates the temperature, synthesizes vitamin D. That's the largest and the most visible organ system, like your skin, hair, nails, sweat glands, and oil glands. Okay, your hair. It's approximately like millions nang sa hair mo pa lang, sa cranial, mo pa lang, sa head mo pa lang banda. Millions na yan. Oo. And at the same time, your skin, that's the largest organ. Oo. largest organ. Okay? And yeah, which makes it the largest and the most visible organ system. Superficial. Opo. Yes po. Opo. Okay? And yung skeletal system natin that protects our vital organs, that provides support, allows body movements, produces blood cells, and stores fat. Like your bones, your red and yellow bone marrow, your cartilages, your ligaments and tendons. By the way, yung red and yellow bone marrow, iba-iba rin yan siya. Your red bone marrow produces your blood cells, whereas your yellow stores fat. Okay? Your muscular system, it produces body movements, maintains body posture, and may tatlo tayong types of muscles. Your skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Yung unang dalawa, those are muscles that are in the body. Pero, voluntary. Okay? Voluntary, pwede mo maggalawin, pwede mo hindi. Whereas, yung cardiac muscles, involuntary, hindi mo naman magalaw ang heart muscles mo. Oo, hindi naman yan, hindi mo naman kailangan na ipamp mo yan ng sarili mo. Ano ka ba? So yeah, yung nervous system, which is one of the smallest but one of the most complex. It detects sensations, it controls movements, physiological processes, and intellectual functions. Like your brain, which is your control center of the body. Spinal cord, your nerves, your sensory and motor. Your endocrine, one of the most favorite. My most favorite. Kumbaga. So your endocrine system regulates nearly all physiological processes like your metabolism. Nasabi ko na ito kanina, pero I'll do it in a separate video. Growth, reproduction, and your sleep-wake cycle. So your brain, your hypothalamus, pituitary. Pituitary is divided into two, your anterior and posterior. Yung anterior, release siya ng ACTH. Yung FSH, or your follicle stimulating hormone, your luteinizing hormone. Whereas, yung posterior, yung oxytocin natin, yun yung ADH or yung vasopressin natin or yung antidiuretic hormone. Yung gonads, your ovary and your testes, your thyroid and parathyroid glands, your thymus, your thymopoietin, pancreas, adrenals which sit at the top of your kidneys. Okay? Your cardiovascular system that transports nutrients, waste products, and oxygen, and that transports immune cells to fight disease, and platelets to the site of injury, and it helps maintain body temperature and pH balance. Pero before that, di ba tatlong parts ang cardiovascular system? Your heart, which is your cardiovascular. Yung hematologic natin, ito yun siya. Yung RBCs, yung white blood cells natin, yung platelets and plasma. Plasma is the water part of your blood. Okay. Di ba yung RBCs natin, they carry... Basta, they carry. Ewan ko, grocery siguro. Char lang. Nag-joke ako, guys. Yeah. Yung hemoglobin, oo. Yung white blood cells natin, divided into two. Granulocytes and agranulocytes. Ang granulocytes natin, your eosinophils, neutrophils, and your basophils. Okay? Yung agranulocytes, your lymphocytes, and your monocytes. Okay? Yung circulatory, your blood vessels, your arteries, veins, and capillaries. Your arteries carry oxygenated blood from the heart away. From the heart away. With the exception of your pulmonary artery. Okay? Your veins, which carry deoxygenated blood from the organs to the heart. Except the pulmonary vein. Capillaries, the smallest blood vessels. Your lymphatic, another term, your immune system that maintains tissue and fluid balance, that combats disease, removes foreign substances from your blood and your lymph. Your lymphatic vessels, your lymph nodes, your spleen. Your spleen is your cemetery ng ating red blood cells. Your thymus is where the T cells mature. Your tonsils, your adenoids, your bone marrow, kasi nga yun ang gumagawa ng mga blood cells mo, di ba? Ganito siya, your B cells and T cells sa lymphocytes. Your B cells, coming from the letter itself, B, doon siya nagawa, doon rin siya magmamature sa ating bone marrow. Whereas yung T cells natin, doon siya nagagawa sa ating bone marrow, pero magta-travel siya into your thymus, and sa thymus siya magmamature. Okay? Your digestive system, okay, that's associated with the mechanical or your mastication or your chewing and the chemical process of digestion. And it absorbs nutrients and eliminates wastes. Like your oral cavity, your mouth, your teeth, your tongue, your salivary glands. Your uvula may help rin with pushing your and protecting your nasal cavity, kumbaga, with food and drinks and water, kumbaga. Your esophagus, your stomach, your small and large intestines. Your small intestine is divided into 3. Your duodenum, your jejunum, your ileum. Okay? Your large intestines divided into 5. What are the 5 parts? The cecum, which houses your appendix, your ascending, your transverse, your descending, and your sigmoid colon. Okay? Your liver, your rectum, your anus pala, by the way. Salivary glands, mapasublingual man yan or what. Your liver, your gallbladder or your cholecyst, your pancreas. Yun yung mga organs, ha? And your respiratory system takes oxygen, expels carbon dioxide, and it regulates blood pH. Your nose, your pharynx, your larynx, your trachea, your bronchi, and your lungs. Yan siya. And yeah, your urinary system, your excretory or your renal system. They remove waste products from your blood. They balance and regulate your blood pH, and it's associated with the iron and water balance. Your kidneys, that kidneys filter your water, diba? And your diba? Yung mga gina-filter niya, diba? From harmful things, toxins, chemicals. Ureters, urinary bladder, and your urethra. And for the males, yung urethra is the same agianan or daluyan ng ating sperm and your urine. Okay? Ito, reproductive system. Pag itong topic sa inyo, automatic buhay ang klase. Oo. It's associated with the gamete and hormone production, fertilization, and the gestation and childbirth. For the males, your testes or your testicles, your duct system, your epididymis, which is on top of your testes, vas deferens, your prostate gland, opo, your seminal vesicles, and your penis, opo. Your female, your ovaries, your fallopian tubes, your uterus or your womb, your cervix, and your vagina. Oo. So, ito. Yeah. That's all the body systems. May 11 tayo. Integumentary, skeletal, muscular, nervous, endocrine, cardiovascular, lymphatic, digestive, respiratory, urinary, and your reproductive. Opo, yung 11 na yan. Yung homeostasis natin. Homeostasis. Nag-joke ako, guys. Oo. Nag-joke ako, guys. Opa. Yeah, that's a process by which a biological system maintain a relatively stable internal environment within the body. Yeah. It's through a series of feedback mechanisms despite changes in external or external or internal conditions. Yung variables natin, guys, those are changes in internal body conditions because hindi siya constant. Sabi nga, variables, yeah. Like your blood counts, your white blood cell, your red blood cell, and your platelet counts. Your heart rate, your respiratory rate, your blood pressure, your blood glucose, and even your hormone and your iron levels. That's the variables in your homeostasis. Yung normal range, span of values around the set point that's considered acceptable. For example, kung yung normal range natin sa body temperature, for example, 98.6 Fahrenheit or roughly 37 degrees Celsius. Yun siya. That's a normal range. Okay? Set point, that's the physiological ideal value for a variable, and for the feedback loops. Yeah, they are biological control systems that use the output of a process to regulate the same process. And both types of feedback loops regulate the body's responses to either increased or decreased parameters. And there are three components: sensor, sensor, or receptor that monitors the value of a variable by detecting stimuli. Your control center, which is usually the brain, that determines the set point for the variable and receives input from the receptor about the variable. And your effector generates the response that adjusts the value of a changed variable, which is your stimulus that initiates a homeostatic mechanism. There are two main types ng ating feedback loops: your negative and your positive. Your negative is more commonly involved in maintenance of homeostasis than positive feedback. Under your negative feedback, the mechanisms are your blood glucose. Diba? Pag tataas yung blood glucose mo, may hormone na bababa niyan, which is a glucagon. Diba? Or shall we say si insulin? Insulin ba? Malay ko. Char lang. Insulin bitaw, guys. Yeah. Pag baba si blood glucose, si glucagon tataas. Yun siya. Si osmoregulation through your ADH. Oo, your water regulation. Your blood pressure management po. Opo, yes po. So, your positive feedback that occurs when a response to original stimulus results in the deviation from a set point becoming even greater. Which, your blood coagulation or your hemostasis. May separate video ako niyang hemostasis. So, I will upload it a bit later. Labor and delivery. Nerve impulse. Yan siya sa positive feedback. Okay? For your negative feedback, may konti akong diagram dito. Oo. Konti lang ito. Maliit na diagram. Oo. Ganito siya. For your thermoceptors, those are receptors in your skin that detects temperature. Pag may ma-detect sila na increase in temperature, those signals will be sent to your hypothalamus. Diba your hypothalamus is your thermoregulatory center in your brain? Opo. So, yeah. Your hypothalamus sends, tawag nito. Yeah, sends, tawag nito, signals sa ating sweat glands na mag-produce siya ng sweat. And at the same time, to your blood vessels to dilate or lalaki ang diameter. Therefore, pag na-achieve nila sweat glands na mag-produce ang sweat and yung blood vessels mag-dilate, pababa si body temperature. Okay? Kung may mataas na levels, dapat merong way para bababa. Okay? And dito tayo sa pink na ano. So your thermoceptors, same pa rin, they detect decreased body temperature, which then be sent sa ating thermoregulatory center, which is your hypothalamus. Magsasend siya ng signals to your effectors, your sweat glands, your blood vessels, and your skeletal muscles. Sa sweat glands, stop muna ang sweat production, your blood vessels will constrict, and your skeletal muscle constricts. Therefore, magsishiver ka. Pag magsishiver ka, unti-unti tataas ang body temperature mo. Therefore, ayun. Okay? So, homeostasis. Kung may baba na levels, we should find a way para manonormal siya. Paano? There's something na magtataas ng blood levels na yan. Okay? For your positive feedback, ito. Okay. Your positive feedback. Okay? Your positive feedback mechanism, okay? It is when, guys, a response to the original stimulus results in the deviation from the set point becoming even greater. Okay? Parang for example, guys, nahihiya ka and realized your face was turning red, which caused you to become more embarrassed, guys. And your face turned even more red. Pero hindi yun siya, no? Just an example yun siya, guys. Oo. Ganito siya, guys. So, your uterus, guys, magsistretch yan. Okay? Therefore, pag magsistretch yung uterus natin, that stimulates your sensory neurons. Oo. To signal the control center to increase the contractions of your uterus. Paano guys? Sinong sesendan ni sensory neuron ng signals? Si posterior pituitary. Therefore, magre-release siya ng oxytocin. Your oxytocin, it's a hormone that is associated with the urine smooth muscle contraction. Ang resulta, si fetus, lalabas na siya from the uterus. Pero guys, ganito siya. Kung negative feedback man itong childbirth guys, hindi malalabas si bata. Okay? Hindi malalabas si bata. Therefore, sa positive feedback, one way siya. Okay? The more stretches, the more signals, the more contractions na magagawa. Okay? Yun siya. Positive feedback continues until the original stimulus, which is the fetus in the uterus, is removed. Okay? So, yeah, this would be very much it for the part 1. Yes. And, yeah. For the part 2, it will be in a separate video. Okay? Kasi nga, TikTok. I love you. Yeah. So, yun. Thank you guys and yeah. See you in the part 2 nitong video na to. Okay? Bye-bye.